Hello YouTube, this is Chuck. I don't know how well you can see it over there, but that bird's an osprey. And he's looking for a fish over here at the lake over at the park. He's probably going to be kind of small in the screen, so if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. But let me spin you around where I can talk to you. Beautiful day over here. There's actually not too many people here. There's not as many people as I thought there was going to be. It's Saturday, and thought I'd try to make another run at the video that I tried to shoot yesterday afternoon. I shot one, I posted it, and I shot a second one. I didn't like the way it turned out, so we're going to try to do that one again and see if we can get it right this time. Got cabin fever real bad, so we took the van and came over here, and I'm sitting in the shade of the van over here at the park with old Flapjack, and he's happy to get out of the house as well. So I'm going to try to tell you my story. Let's see how it goes this time. I used to always hate the month of June. Just hated it, and there was a couple of major reasons why. And let me tell you a little bit about that today. Well, as you all know, I was a fire chief for many years, and both of the reasons why I hated the month of June had to do with that, but for totally different reasons. And the one was that June is always our hottest and driest month, and so it's the worst month for the potential for wildland fires. And all the big wildland fires we've had over here all over the years have all started in the second half of the month of June. And, the reason for that is because, like I say, it's the hottest time, it's the driest time, and usually right around July 1st, we get a change in the winds, and it starts bringing up a little bit more humidity up from the Gulf of California, and then we start getting our summer rains, which is known as the Arizona monsoon. And so that, when the wind changes and starts bringing that humidity in, it kind of takes the edge off of it, but before that, it's always popcorn dry around here. And every major fire that we've had, the catastrophic fires that have occurred right in this area, have actually started in the last 2 weeks of the month of June. And that includes, of course, the Dude Fire in 1990, which killed 6 firefighters and burned 60 structures. And also the Willow Fire in 2004, which started to the southwest of here and burned, actually the fire containment line was within 1.5 miles of our city limits. Seemed like farther than that, but it actually wasn't. It was actually got pretty close to us. The main fire, they burned out ahead of the main fire, so the main fire got stopped a ways further away. And then, of course, in 2002, there was the Rodeo Chetasky fire, which was east of us. And at that time, that was the largest fire in Arizona history. It was surpassed in 2011 by the Wallow Fire over in the White Mountains. And that one actually started in late May. But that one burned over 600,000 acres and burned clear into New Mexico. So we always, of course, we wore the dark blue uniforms, and we always used to tell people if we looked a little bluer than usual in June, it was because we were holding our breath, because we were always expecting something was going to happen. I would never give the guys, when the guys want vacation time off in June, I wouldn't let them take it. I'd make everybody stay here, including me, and so that we'd have as many people on hand as we possibly could, because, we had a lot of potential in those days. And why didn't we have a major fire that burned part of our town down or all of our town down? Well, there's several reasons for that. And one is that when we get a fire start in June or in May or June, we'd literally throw everything we had at it, including the Forest Service would respond. And we'd have everybody you could think of heading toward that fire, and hopefully we'd catch it, and we caught every single one of them. And part of that was the reason, and the other part of the reason was just luck. We dodged the bullet all those years, and we never had that major fire. But that potential was always there. The potential's here right now. But we had a pretty wet winter, so it kind of took the edge off it a little bit for us. And so looks like we're going to dodge the bullet this year. I hope I'm right. But that was another reason why I used to hate the month of June, and that was strictly a budget issue. Now, our fiscal year ran from July 1st to June 30th. And we worked under a zero-based line item budgeting thing, and a lot of it put restrictions on us that we probably really didn't have to have, and a lot of it just made our job more difficult. And so we would go, when we're setting up our budget for the following year, we don't have a crystal ball. Nobody knows what's going to happen. We don't know how busy we're going to be. There's a lot of things we don't know. And our city was always real sticklers about budget. And oh boy, you did not want to go over budget. And so what that meant was that we'd kind of starve ourselves for about the first half of the year, and then depending on whether or not we had unexpected expenses, we'd get down to about June. And if we'd had a good year and we had a little bit of money left over, then we'd go on a spending spree in June, and we'd stock up on stuff. And I'll give you a couple examples of that. Is vehicle repairs being a good one. Fire trucks run big diesel engines, and the repair costs are astronomical on them when something bad happens. And I was always a very, very strong preventative maintenance guy. I'm a gearhead, and so if we had a little bit of money left over at the end of June, we'd stock up on things like cases of oil and filters and tires and all this kind of stuff, so that we'd have it because we knew we were going to need it eventually. And so if we had a good year, we'd stock up on that stuff. Now you'd think that we'd be able to, say, for example, if we budgeted $30,000 for maintenance and we only had to spend half of that in the course of a budget year, you'd think the city would look at that and say, well, these guys had a good year, they budgeted well, and they didn't spend money they didn't have to, and that's a good thing. But what they would do is they'd take a look at that and say, well, you have all this money left over, you must not have needed it, so I guess this coming year we won't need to give you that much. Well, once again, our crystal ball didn't work any better than anybody else's. In all the years that I was responsible for budgeting, I only ran over budget one year, and that was due to a series of major mechanical breakdowns that I had no way of knowing that was going to come. And so we had to repair. You can't let the fire trucks sit, you got to fix them. And so that one year I did run a bit over budget, and you thought the wheels were going to come off. Everybody was throwing a fit, and somehow that was all my fault. And I was a poor manager and all that kind of stuff. And so my target, it became a game, and I wasn't the only one. The other department heads did it as well, but I would always try to come in just under budget. And my target was to come under within about 1% or 1.5%. And so, of course, you didn't know whether anything big was going to happen in the last month when you started ordering all this stuff. And, sometimes it was kind of like Christmas. We'd have UPS be coming every day bringing us boxes full of stuff that we were waiting to order. We ordered medical supplies ahead of time. And one of the big ones was firefighting foam. And let me talk a little bit about that. Firefighting foam is expensive stuff. It comes in 5-gallon pails, and it's about $30 a gallon, so it's about $150 a pail back then. I don't know what it costs now. It's probably more than that now. But it also has a shelf life. And after you store it for so many years, it starts turning to gel, and then it doesn't work very well. So, and you never know when you're going to use it. And you never know when you're going to have a call that you're going to need it. You might go 2 or 3 years at a time without a call where you're going to need foam, and then all of a sudden one day you use your whole supply and you got to restock it again. So foam was another one. And it was a line item budget, so we had to buy foam. And so what did we do with the old expired foam? Well, we used some of it up for training, but a lot of it actually, when it wasn't any good anymore, actually went to Mexico. There was people that come around and would collect all that old equipment and all the stuff we wanted to get rid of and take it down there for them. And so hopefully they got to use it before it turned to mush. And that's what happened eventually. It turned to a jelly and was totally unusable for anything. But that's a good example. But we had to spend money for that. So most of the time I came in within that 1% or 1.5% on budget. But as you can well imagine, that was real stressful. And you add to that the stress of being the peak of fire season. It got to the point where I just absolutely hated the month of June. July 1st, of course, we started on new money, so there were things that we'd order and get invoiced and have the invoice dated before even though some of the stuff wouldn't get delivered until, the first 2 or 3 days in July, but we'd get it invoiced ahead of time. And conversely, if we had something major that sometimes we'd ask them not to invoice it until after the 1st of July, just for that reason. But that even set up another set of problems because they never adopted the final budget until about the middle of August. And so for about the first 6 weeks of the new fiscal year, we'd be operating on funny money that we didn't really have. And so we didn't dare spend money there either. So it was always a manufactured crisis, and it was always, worse than it really had to be. And it was just the way the powers that be made it. That's the way they functioned. And, we always used to joke that the goal was to get us to do more and more with less and less, and eventually we become qualified to do everything with nothing. And of course, we all know that doesn't work, and eventually you hit the tipping point, and eventually the wheels fall off. So anyway, that's my story for today, and so I'll let you go and tell you, as I always do, take care of each other and love each other. And we'll come back to you with another story again real soon. But for right now, let's pivot around and show you the park. As I said, it's a beautiful afternoon. There's really not as many people out here as I expected there would be, but it's just a nice day. So as I said, we'll be back again real soon. And so for now, I'll just tell you, peace out.